Okay, hello and welcome everybody on this training tonight on the part 2 of the communication skills and how to become a professional communicator. This is Claudia here, and I have with me a few wonderful people from different places, which is fantastic. So let's get right into what we have been left yesterday. Yesterday, we did learn that we are in the business of
decision making.
Yeah, Victor, you're good. We see you are a teacher. That is for sure. We are in the business of decision making, and that is correct. And so I have actually put a few phrases here, which I'm just going to share my screen again. I just put them on a Word document because we want to learn some shortcuts on building rapport, which have to do all with would it be okay if. It's a very easy non-defense question we can ask, and I'm going to go into that in a little bit from here. So I just put it up to your screen so you can see it, maybe do a screenshot of it, because this is a great way to build rapport without being offensive and with the people actually most likely every time saying, tell me more. And what do we want in our business? We want to have prospects begging us. We want to have prospects asking us, well, tell me more about what you do. Tell me more how I can get this. Tell me more how I can get hold of that. Correct? This is what we want, of course, to have happen here. So we want to talk about this in this presentation further. But let me go back here where we were. So in today's training, we're going to talk, and all it's going to be evolving about how to get prospects to actually pay attention to us. Now, we talked about what goes on in our prospect's mind in the last, yesterday basically, right? When they are actually deciding whether to do business with us or not. Now that we know, what goes in their minds, we can begin to create this step-by-step formula for prospecting, which we can not only use to our advantage, but also to really pass on to our downlines, to make it really duplicatable, our system. And so it's a step-by-step formula we want to create. Now, I can give you the formula, but then you don't understand it. So you really need to understand how to develop this formula, because you may, I'm going to put your own words together and not just use my words I give you. Yes. Because at the end of the day, we want to mold and we want to formulate what fits best to us. So before we really going into creating that formula, we need to learn how to first do one thing, and that is to freeze our prospects' mind. What do I mean by that? To freeze our prospect's mind? Can we actually really do that? Well, yes, we actually can. We need to be able to bring the minds of our prospects to a total, complete stop and have them focus the attention on whatever we are about to say next. Okay, so and you may be, of course, thinking, well, how can I do that? How can I really grab somebody hold of their mind, basically, to stop what they are doing or thinking about? And of course, yes, we can. We definitely can that, and I'm going to demonstrate this to you. So. And this is really crucial, because it makes absolutely no sense to talk about what we have to offer if the prospect is really not focused and is not listening. And not only are we going to get our prospects, of course, to focus on our message, we are going to actually, and this is really what we want to have our prospect back for us, of course, to give them that presentation or to give them that more what they want. So in my case, I never give a presentation, be it for a product or opportunity, unless somebody really asks me for, really begs me for. And how can we actually take a grip on our prospect's mind and have them actually only focus on us? So when we look at what we already said in yesterday's lesson, what we already have established earlier, what we said and do when we actually meet a prospect is important, because we will trigger a certain instant reactions. And these instant reactions we trigger in our prospects are due to a program that is really deep rooted in our subconscious mind. So let's go into some examples. You all probably have taken an elevator, yeah, a lift. So if we go into a lift and we see a stranger in the lift already there, what do? We naturally stand away from the stranger, but we're still facing the stranger, yeah, correct? But we naturally stand away, but we're still facing him. So if somebody, another scenario, smiles at you, you already automatically smile back, correct? If you're in a shop and let's say a salesman comes back and sneaks behind us, I really don't like it, but that really happens, and they ask, can I help you? Well, immediately what we do is, no, I'm just looking. So if somebody says to us hello, we don't even really think we would return the greeting, because this is how we are programmed as human beings. So as we of course can see from those very simple examples, the subconscious programs is really deep rooted. It runs in our prospect's mind. And it's a kind of a defense program. This is how we can actually learn to shut their minds down from any communication. So when we're talking with prospects, we want to really make sure to use words, to use phrases that will help us bypass this mental defense program, so that we can actually easily deliver our message. Okay, so let's move on and begin to learn some magical word phrases so that we can bypass those mental, of course, things which we have been programmed so many years. So, of course, we human beings, we have this survival program. So everybody has a survival program in the subconscious mind. And the survival program exists to what? Keep us alive, to keep us out of danger. And many of the decisions that we make, they are based upon the survival. So what's the problem? Well, the problem for us is that the survival program makes our prospects skeptical by, of course, raising those walls of distrust and disbelief, of course, in their minds. And this is their subconscious survival program, which is really working hard of protecting them being cheated by their money. And so why does the subconscious mind need to protect our money? Because, of course, money is an important tool here to survive in our world, isn't it? And so let me ask you this. If our prospects do not trust and believe us, what happens? They will what? Make a no decision and not do business with us, which means, of course, we're not making any money, correct? So let's figure that, or let's imagine that. What if we could use the survival program to our advantage, instead of triggering the survival program, of course, to put up those walls of disbelief, of distrust, of sales resistance, really? What if we could actually trigger the survival program to help us deliver our message in the decision-making part of their minds instead? And this would be really great, wouldn't it be? So this is actually totally possible. And how? With the help of those magic words. In fact, of two magic words. So most people would want to know what the magic words are. And most people, if they knew these magic words, they would use them when talking to their prospects, of course. And if you are like most people, you can't wait to learn those words. So have you figured out what the magic words are? Have you? I need some help here.
Yes.
What are the magic words?
Well, who do you know?
No.
Who do you know?
No.
No.
Do you keep your financial options open?
No.
Or are you interested in it? Oh, well, no.
No. Okay, I do it again. So most people, would want to know what the magic words are, right? And most people, if they knew those magic words, they would use them when talking to their prospects. And if you are like most people, you can't wait to learn these words.
Yes, please.
Most people. Those are the two magic words. It's most people. So most people. So most people works like magic. Why? Because we as humans instinctively know that one of the biggest ways, of course, or best ways to survive is to stay in a group. Yes, we are herd people. So let me give you an example. Say you are walking alone at the dark street at night. And so do you feel like walking alone or walking in a group? In a group, right? Of course, because we feel safer in a group. And this comes natural to us because it's our survival program telling us it is safety in numbers. Now, that is why the words most people, yes, works well. When we say the word most people, our prospect subconscious mind thinks what? They think, am I part of most people or am I part of less people? So since there is safety in numbers, yes, I want to be part of most people and not part of less people. So yeah, I think I'm a part of most people. Just like that, with two simple words, we have turned the tables and around. And now, of course, the survival program helps us actually to open doors of communication rather of really putting those walls of defense. And here I'm going to give you some examples of most people. Most people want to travel and see the world. What does the person, when you're talking with them, do? Yeah, that's correct. Well, most people want to look younger than their actual age. Yeah, hell yeah. Well, most people are too busy for exercise. Yeah. Well, most people need to make more money in their lives. You see, very simple communication skills. You're talking to people. Very simple when building rapport. Most people, because they agree, yeah, that's true. Most people are right now having a problem. Most people are made redundant. Most people are not earning an income. Most people just got fired of their job. Most people had difficulties right now with this corona. Most people. Would people agree? Would you have a conversation starter? Absolutely. Most people. Now let's go further and let's go into the busybody program or programming. We human beings, we have an instinct to be curious about the world. And this is due to the program in our subconscious mind, which is called the busybody. We don't have time to learn everything about our busybody program, etc. in this training now, but let me just give you some key pointers so that you really know what we're dealing about. Here's a really live case study of that. So we're traveling along the highway. What happens? On the opposite side of the highway, accident. Whatever, collision of a few cars together, firefighters, police, they're all there. What do? We look to the other side, don't we? Now, in most,
lose.
Correct. We look at the other side, right? We are curious, aren't we? And so in most cases, of course, like this, you will notice that the traffic on our side of the highway will slow down because people are looking. They're curious what's going on there. So, but why does traffic on our side of the highway slow down? Because the accident of the opposite side, what does it actually that has to do with that? It has to do with our curiosity. So the busybody program, we are curious. But the accident on the other side has nothing to do with our traffic jam now on this side. But most people are slowing down to take a better look, of course, of that accident on the opposite side, which of course doesn't concern them at all. They don't really care. And that is why traffic, of course, slows down on the other side. So in our behavior, we cannot help but being busybodies. And so it's again an instinct which is deep-rooted, programmed in our subconscious mind. And this is the reason, I'm just giving you reasons why we feel a strong urge to know everything happening around us, even it really doesn't concern us, but we have to be a busybody. And this is, of course, this busybody basically in us becomes even more intrigued in the, if of course the information is new and only a few other people on this planet have this information. And all what I'm leading here to is in making people curious of what we have, using those magic words without giving them the full presentation. No, we just want to make them curious, that's all. So, which of course then brings us to this 4 magic word phrase, which is, I just found out. I just found out. Simple. Another great making curious for word phrase. Now, when we say, of course, this magic phrase, automatically what it does, it will freeze the survival program in the prospect's mind. Furthermore, of course, it also activates the busybody program. I just found out. Now, what does the prospect need to know? Well, what do you find out? What is it? I need to know. What is it about? So this is, so when we basically say those words, I just found out, we are telling our prospects that we have new information. And what does the prospect want to know? New information. So it forces the prospects to what? Lean in, focus the attention to us and listen to this new piece of information. Now put yourself in the shoes of a person who hates their job. What would go through their mind basically to hear, I just found out how we could replace our full-time income by just working from our smartphones. I just found out. You see what I said there?
Yep.
I just found out how we could replace our full-time income by just working from our smartphones. Now, of course, you need to know the person you're saying that to is bored with his job, hates his job, doesn't like his job. But we can use this in many different situations. Now, what do you think the prospect is going to say when you say, well, you know what, I just found out how we can fire our boss and make more money than him. What I mean, there's so many different situations, so many word phrases you can do with that. I just found out how we could replace our full-time income by just working from our smartphones. How do we do that? Don't you think you would get this reaction?
Yes.
So,
yes.
yeah, so we're going to write those phrases down and we're going to rehearse them. We're going to basically do all kinds of scenarios, and I'm going to give you, of course, more of those scenarios with that. In fact, there is a lot of them in that sheet, which we have, of course, to download in the affiliate group. Now, of course, you can do that in so many different scenarios. Like I just found out how we don't have to work 45 years like our parents. Yeah, tell me more. I just found out how we can take a 1-week holiday every month. Yeah, tell me more. Right? This is what people are going to say. Yeah, tell me more. And so those things is really important and key that we learn them and that we practice them, because that way we're always going to get people saying, yeah, tell me more. And what do we want? We want to have people coming to us and saying, tell me more, please, I beg you, right? So one of the best, or another best good way, let's say, to communicate is asking questions. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious. Another one, I'm just curious. Asking a question, of course, is a good way to get a clear answer of whether our prospect wants an opportunity to make an extra income without really sounding rude, because we don't want to sound rude. So let's say, how about, of course, using some magic words to actually soften our approach and make both the prospect and of course, yourself make more comfortable, let's say. I'm just curious, is an extra paycheck what you're looking for? I'm just curious. Is the extra paycheck what you're looking for? So let's say you maybe had a conversation and the person said, you know what, I'm really fed up with my job. Oh, or how often do we have it that somebody, I don't know, you meet in a hotel, you meet in a restaurant, you meet anywhere in your work, and there's so many places, oh, and they're tired. Oh, I'm tired of that, or whatever. Or I mean, or unfriendly waiter, or unfriendly this, or well, it doesn't have to be unfriendly, but just like sort of you feel they had enough. I'm just curious. It's an extra paycheck. What are you looking for? I'm just curious. There's so many scenarios where you can say that. And so when we do that, it does change the entire tone. So now our question actually doesn't seem longer rude, direct, and then not confrontational. We can really comfortably ask our question without worrying about offending the prospect. So another example, I'm just curious, would paying less on your next vacation make you happy? I'm just curious, is working from your smartphone something you would look for? I'm just curious. So you can see it's pretty simple how we can do that. And our prospects, of course, feel more relaxed, because when our prospects feel comfortable, of course, they will lean forward and they will listen. And again, their walls of resistance are actually going to go down. And so let's go into the formula. A simple formula that actually works. So now that we, of course, have a little bit understanding of how to use those magic words to grab, of course, the prospect's attention, that's what we want to do, we can then go back to what we had discussed prior, and exactly, of course, taking that step by step, what goes in our prospect's mind when we're starting to talk, of course, about our business. So we can now start to create a formula to manage our conversation with the prospects and guide them, of course, to decision making. So why should we create that formula, or why should we create a formula? There's two types again of people in network marketing. Those that leave their success up to chance. I'm not one of those. And those that take control and responsibility of the results they actually create. Which one would you be? Which one would you like to be? You want to take it up to chance, or you want to actually learn how to do it and become a professional?
I want to learn how to do it.
Good.
Definitely learn how to do it.
Yeah, learn how to do it.
Learn how to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We want to get results. So if we take a look at really all the top distributors in network marketing, I had a pleasure to hang around quite a few. In fact, one of my mentors, I have a few mentors. One of my mentors, actually, great guy, Brian McMullen, I can tell it. Amazing guy, young dude from San Diego, totally introvert. I mean, he hangs around with Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses and all those guys. He is probably the most paid network marketer of all times. Now, he's never on stage. You never see them. You never see him. You never see him. He's just amazing. He's always at the top in any company he promotes. In fact, he did some great stuff in helping companies, even bailing companies out. So, okay, I don't want to reveal too much, but amazing guy. But you just don't see him on the stages. He don't. What he does is he creates leaders. He creates leaders, and then he has the leaders, of course, being on stage. He's behind the scenes. So, it's just I just learned a lot also from him. But so again, let's look at the top distributors in network marketing. You will notice that all of them really have one thing in common, and they don't leave the success up to chance. They really take responsibility to the results they create. And if we are serious, of course, in our business, what we want to do, then we need to do the same. And especially when we're talking to prospects, we cannot use random words and hope that they join. We cannot. We have to stop doing that. We need to have an exact formula for talking to prospects And this will not only help us create results, but we can also then, of course, pass this formula again onto our team so that they can duplicate the results. So the first step, what do you think this actually is the first step in the formula? Guys, you listen to the first presentation, and guys and girls here on the call, you listen to the first call to mine. What is the first step you think in creating that formula? What would it be? Remember those questions, those 5 questions? That was a hint.
How are you? How are you?
Almost.
How are you? And can I trust you?
Who
No?
are you? Who are you?
Who are you? Sorry, who are you? Sorry.
Correct, Sam. Correct, Sam. Who are you? Now, of course, problem. This is not going to. This is going to be bad news for many of us. Like for me, it was. Why? Well, just think about how we have lived our life the past 10 years or so. Now, this for me, of course, when I started, it was pretty bad. But anyway, so just think about the lives we have lived in the past 10 years. Have we lived our lives to the level where we could approach our friends and family members and have them follow our lead and join without questioning us? Or don't we? You see, when I started my business, remember, I didn't join any family member. They wouldn't join me because they didn't believe in it. They wouldn't see me because they did see me working like a slave and working a lot. They didn't see me as a successful person. So just ask yourself that. So if we create this formula, and the first thing is what the people, of course, or the prospect would want to know is, who are you? And if I'm talking to my family members and I haven't really had great success in life, or really we're not admirable, that doesn't really go well with us, correct?
Yes, correct.
So
Yeah.
for most people, the answer, of course, is going to be no. And for most of your teammates, you got to understand, for most of your teammates, that's going to be the same. It's going to be a no, right? So if we don't have influence over our warm market, what about the cold market? And remember, they always tell us, go to your warm market, which is correct in one sense. But we need to go and dive a little bit deeper into that. We need to learn some skills. This is unfortunately, of course, the truth, right? The cold hard truth. Most of us are simply not celebrities. They're not influencers. We don't have a big list of people who join us, etc. Of course, we can work on our personal branding, and Sean is doing a great job in showing us. And we can also building, of course, up those fans who are following us. We can all do that. It's going to take time. And if you, of course, on this path, it's great. Continue. However, we need to understand that this is a method with a long-term strategy. We need to make money now. A person, when he comes into the business, when he follows us into the business, he needs to make money now. And I remember when we were sitting down with Sheffield Resource Network back over 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and Sheffield Resource Network is the company which basically creates almost all the network marketing compensation plans out of Phoenix. And we were sitting down with them, and this is, I tell you, this is so long ago. It wasn't, WhatsApp didn't exist, all this stuff didn't exist. Back then they said, when the distributor comes in, now that we have internet, you have up to 6 weeks time. If in those 6 weeks they haven't made a dime, they're gone. Before internet, it would be 6 months, and then they were gone. Now, of course, we are 10, 12 years past that time. What do you think now? It's not anymore 6 weeks. It's 1 week. It's 1 week. We need to show them how to make money in their first week. That's all we got. Otherwise, their attention is gone. And this is, again, that is unfortunately the cold hard truth. So anyhow, let's get into it. Good news. Good news is, of course, through the trials and errors we have faced, and I have faced as well, we can bypass the first question and we can move directly to the second question. And this is what? What is the second question?
Can I trust you?
Yeah, you got it. Can I trust you? So if we know how to build trust and rapport with our prospects, then they will naturally want to do business with us. And after all, nobody likes to do business with people they don't trust. So let's move on to this. Can I trust you? So of course, how to build this instant rapport. So as we have, of course, earlier learned, we can have the best products, we can have the best compensation plan on earth, but if our prospects don't trust and believe us, they're not going to want to do business with us. So when it comes to building rapport and trust with prospects, listen to that. Please listen. Let me give you some things that are not N-O-T necessary, not necessary. It's not necessary to be honest. Now, this is a shocker. It is not necessary to be honest. It is not necessary to have integrity. It is not necessary to be sincere. Having the prospect's best interest in heart is not necessary. That is a shocker, isn't it?
Could you say that again, please?
Yes. When it comes to building rapport and trust with prospects, it is not necessary to be honest, to have integrity, to be sincere, to have the prospect's best interest in heart. And I'm going to demonstrate you why. Now, I love to be honest. I am having integrity. I am being sincere. And I have the prospect's interest in heart. But it is not necessary. It's not necessary. So many of us, of course, are now going to look at, what is this? What is Claudia there saying? Well, wait, aren't these important qualities? Why am I saying to not being dishonest? Why am I saying that? Well, I'm actually not saying to be dishonest. Honesty, integrity, sincerity, they're great qualities. And we should practice them because it just makes us good people, But what I am actually saying is that the human mind, okay, looks for specific things to create trust, and these qualities, they are not part of those things, okay? So when it comes to building trust and building rapport, these qualities are simply not necessary. And let's do some case studies on it. You ready for it? Case studies?
Yes.
Have you
Yes.
ever done a presentation with a person and tell me honestly, where you just were honest. You gave the true cold stone fact, as Eric Rohr says. You were honest with your prospect. You conducted the presentation with integrity. You had really the prospect's best interest at heart, but they didn't believe you and they told you no. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, I've had that.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Case study number 2. Let's talk about con men. You know what is a con man?
Yes.
Okay.
Plenty around.
So their profession is all about getting people to trust them so they can cheat people out of their money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are con men honest?
No.
Does cheating people display high integrity? No.
No.
No,
No.
Do they have their victims' best interests at heart?
definitely not.
However, those con men have the ability to get honest, hardworking people to give them their hard-earned money, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
So-
trust.
So obviously, these con men, what they're using is specific skills to get people's or gain people's trust within seconds of meeting them and getting their message inside the victim's head. So the question is, can we learn these rapport building skills too? Of course we can, and we can be honest. right? But I just wanted to demonstrate the part that being honest, being sincere, it really doesn't matter. Because if if scammers can scam us, then that really doesn't matter. That what I just demonstrated before. So let's go and work on our essentials. Let's start with a smile. Well, for some of you thinking, smile, why smile? Well, let me briefly, of course, explain something about the human mind, which will help, again, us understand why smiling is important in rapport building. It's very important. All of us have this, again, survival instinct mode program inside our subconscious mind. It warns us of danger. It warns us, of course, of keep us alive. And sales resistance is simply part of our survival program. So how does it actually work in real life? Let's say we are sitting on a bench in a park and a little child runs up to us and stops in front of us. What do? We automatically smile. The child looks at us, right? The child sort of looks at us cautiously. And of course, it's obvious to us that the child is trying to just find out if we are a threat or if we are not a threat, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
So
Yes.
what do we do out of instinct? We smile, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's right.
So what do we do when we are smiling? We telling the little one, we are not a threat. You know, you're safe with us. Don't worry, correct? So,
Yes.
and what happens most of the time is when we smile at someone, well, most of the time the other person smiles back because we have been socially conditioned to do so. And there's a programming, again, inside our minds that if someone smiles, you smile back. And it's a really stupid kind of program, but this is just the way it is. So now I'm not saying that smiling alone will always create that trust, but it's a big part of it, of building belief and rapport. So what I really mean by that, smile is a great way to begin a conversation starter, because when we smile, of course, our chances go way up. And of course, we, when we are sort of, not nice or don't smile, the chances go way down, right? So practice really with smiling. Now in Asia, I don't know if anybody of you guys have been to Asia. In Asia, they have something which they call same. When you go to Asia, they always, or when you go to any Asian places, they always say same. What does it mean? It's actually very popular in Asia. They always say, well, we are same. We are same like people, same. So they identify with the same people. So when you travel, let's say you come to Germany and you go to the Oktoberfest, and you are, Sam, you are from UK, you're coming over to Germany to the Oktoberfest. Now you see another UK fellow citizen there. Automatically, you feel like same. You smile together, you drink together, right? You wouldn't necessarily first sit with a German. You would sit with the English, right?
I would sit with both anyway. I'm very.
Yeah.
No, I
As long
came
as someone said-
3,000 miles and I'm going to sit with somebody that I don't know.
Yeah, but we usually sympathize with same.
Somebody that we know.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
we do.
So that's what we do. And this is because inside, again, of our subconscious mind, we have this program that says, I can trust people who are the same as me and think the same way. And this is why, of course, we, do that. Now, I didn't know that when I started first out in network marketing, okay? And really looking back, one of the biggest mistake I would say I made was when I talked to prospects, and what I first wanted to do is point out differences, which is totally wrong. So I would say things like, oh, your job is so stupid. Wouldn't you want to do something what I do? Or, you're not getting paid enough. Wouldn't you? You should actually become a network marketer. I mean, things like that. Or, you should join my business opportunity. You would make more money than me. I mean, we did things like that. So you would look at the opposite, or we would play them down, or we would, instead of find common ground. So what we're looking for is find common ground. And I know that really from firsthand experience. I can tell you that pointing out differences is not a very good idea when talking to prospects. Have you had those situations before?
Yes, I have.
Good,
Yes.
Me too.
I
good.
think we've all been there,
Yeah. So to
and we can
build,
only get better in time.
yeah, correct. So that's why to build instant rapport, what we should be doing when talking to prospect is to instead tell them things that they already believe, they already trust in. So when you tell your prospect something that they already believe, their subconscious mind says, what? Wow, you think the same as me, same, as they say in Asia. That means you're a genius like me.
Mhm.
I can start believe what you say.
Mhm.
Okay. So could you think of some things that our prospects would already believe?
There's a crisis at the moment. There's a need for help to save the environment, to order to make a change, to make a difference, and to have a self-belief that you could do something to make a difference to
Life is,
order to.
yeah, and life is getting expensive.
Mm.
Prices for everything is going up.
Mhm.
Salaries are stagnant. It's hard to get a
That's right.
raise nowadays. Most people
That's
would
right.
love to fire their boss. We don't have to be stuck as employees forever. Being your own boss would give us more freedom. Choosing our own hours would be
Yeah,
awesome.
working long hours and stuff. Away from the
Having,
family, etc.
yeah, having extra income every month would be a huge help. So
Yeah.
those are all things the prospect would automatically agree to and find, yeah, he thinks or she thinks like me. So working 2 days in a week is better than working 5 days a week. Getting
Mhm.
paid a full-time income for working 2 weeks in a month is a dream come true. We all need to work less and travel more. So people would agree with those statements. Now, and that is the exact feeling, of course, when we want our prospects to feel when we talk with them, to agree. There's no point in talking about our business, our products, until the prospect is in total rapport with us. We need to get them on the same page where we are. Remember,
Mhm.
the one thing that sets the professionals apart from the amateurs is that professionals know to only present their business to people who trust and believe them. So let's keep in mind and, of course, move on. Let's get even better, of course, in building rapport. So we know now that by telling our prospects a single fact they already believe, they already know,
Mhm.
we are telling our prospects that we have the same beliefs, and so they see the world from the same viewpoint. In doing
Mhm.
so, we have built that bond and that feeling, that trust. So the question I have for you now is this: what could be better than telling our prospects a fact that they already believe to be true?
Well, there's a number of things you could say, because obviously you're building up rapport with them. You're getting to know how they feel about the situation, and also building up a friendship that then they can feel a trust with you to order to find out what you do to see if they connect with you. Yeah.
Yes, that is a good one. So let's start, of course, with telling our prospects two facts that they already believe in. Instead of
Mhm.
one fact, we just learned one fact before. Let's
Mhm.
let's get them two facts to believe in, because when we tell our prospects two facts instead of one they already believe to be true, we take even the report building to the next level, and that's what we want to do. We want to take it to the next level, the report building. So let's look at life is getting expensive and the prices for everything are going up. Two
Mhm.
things: life is getting expensive, prices are getting up, the cost of living is going up, and that's why we're having income extra, and that's why having extra income or having some extra income coming in every month would be extremely helpful, wouldn't it?
Certainly. Yes, certainly.
Or our salaries are stagnant because it is hard to get a raise nowadays. Our salaries are stagnant. It's hard to get a raise nowadays. Would they agree? Yeah. Most people would love to fire their boss instead of being stuck as an employee forever. Working 2 days in a week is better than working 5 days in a week. After all, we all need to work less and travel more. So by so you even build further rapport. Now they agreed to 2 things, and by simply telling our prospects 2 facts that we can all agree on, of course, magic is going to start to happen. We gain instant rapport. However, we want to be sure that we also deliver our rapport building message to a decision making part of their mind, because again, we are in what kind of business are we in?
A decision making business.
Correct. And for that, we can use, of course, another sequence, which we already learned, most people. So most people need more money in their lives because most people, jobs do not pay enough.
Exactly.
Most people hate their jobs, and most people would love to fire their boss if they could. What do you think what do you think the prospect does? Nodding. He's nodding the head, right?
Yeah, because he agrees.
Most people agree that working 2 days a week is better than working 5 days a week. After all, we all need to work less and travel more.
That's right. Working smart.
Most people say that the cost of living is going up. That is why most people agree that having extra income every month would be extremely helpful.
That's right.
So you see, we are, and it's really word plays, and all what we have to do is rehearse those word plays. Go out and just try that. You don't need to know it all. You get better once you try that. So let's review it. Let's put everything we talked about building instant rapport, because this is where we are. We are at building instant rapport right now, which is a step-to-step process. You smile. We use magic words and sequences to tell the prospect, of course, a fact that we, the prospect and myself, we all can believe in. We use a magic word sequence, yes, and again, and to tell our prospects another fact that, again, we all can agree on. So, smile. Most people agree that having a job can be stressful and not fun, but we still go to work because most people need to make a living. Most people would agree that bills eat up most of our monthly salary. That is why most people know that having an extra income would be useful. Most people want to give their children the best in life. However, most people know that the problem is everything is so expensive nowadays. Most people would love to travel more. The only thing is that most people would agree traveling can be really expensive. It's even getting more expensive now with Corona. Was this difficult? Are you following me?
Yes, yes.
Is this something you can learn?
Yes.
Well,
Most definitely, yes. To practice.
Definitely.
Yeah. Looking in the mirror and practicing.
Yep. That's it. I mean, you can even do things like I did. You just read it down and you just write it down in your hand here, you know, left hand, right hand, have it there. God, I mean, you know, it works, whatever, you know, it works. It's not difficult. So building rapport with our prospect, it's not difficult. It just takes a few seconds. And using, of course, those instant rapport building techniques is then we don't need to spend mindless chit-chat hours in relationship building. We don't need that. It's instant rapport we're building. We don't need to spend all these hours on Facebook and building up this rapport and so no, we don't. We can just use those magic words which we just learned. Because right now, I mean, let's face it, people have short attention. You know, all the more people are going to make instant decisions, because and this is why network marketing professionals, you know, basically earn the top dollars and not the amateurs. So we know how to manage when of course we know how to manage the first few seconds when we talk to prospects using those techniques. So let's go and look at some icebreakers. And I put some icebreakers also in this training, which is in the affiliate group there. Now, for those who are, of course, not familiar with the term icebreakers, you probably are asking, wondering, what do you mean? Well, I'll give you a short answer. Icebreakers are simply words or phrases we say to introduce a new topic of a conversation. Yeah. So, of course, we can use icebreakers to change the conversation from social chit chat to introducing our prospects to our opportunity and to our prospects. Yes. So our icebreakers, they don't have to be very long. Most of the times, they're only a sentence or two. And at the end of the icebreaker, our prospect is going to decide if we are interesting to them or we are not. And if our prospect, of course, decides that we are not interesting, then what? They will refuse, of course, to engage in our conversation any further. And this is how, of course, again, the human mind works. The human mind, again, is designed to eliminate those conversations that are just not interesting. So how do we know that what we say is interesting to them? Well, of course, we listen to the prospect. So imagine we are talking to a prospect in our conversation. That prospect told us that he hates his job, but he has no choice but to keep it because he needs money for his family. So what might we say to this prospect? Remember, we talked about building rapport earlier. After we use some of the rapport building, of course, techniques, we can move on, use an icebreaker to introduce the solution. In the case, of course, our job-hating person or prospect, introducing our business opportunity would then make no sense because he just told us he needs to stay in this job because he needs to feed his family. So he can, at this moment in time, not go out of his job. He needs to feed his families. So that is what he just told us. So let me give you some example. Of course, examples, I mean, on that report building. You can fire your boss, you can be your own boss. We don't have to work 45 hours like our parents. You can work from home, still make a full-time income. So what do professional network marketers do when using those icebreakers? Now we could, of course, simply insert those icebreakers like you can fire your boss and be your own boss. We don't have to work 45 hours like our parents. You can work from home until and still make a full-term income. For example, those are icebreakers. We could insert them in a statement or after building report, but at this point, we're not going to do that. Why? Because we're not amateurs, we are professionals. So what we need to do first is, of course, get them focused. We need to, again, this busybody, we talked about it, we need to get rid of that busybody. And this is where, again, we need to use another 4-word phrase, which is, I just found out. I just found out how we can fire our boss and be our own boss. We insert the icebreaker. I just find out how we can fire our boss and be our own boss. I just found out how we can stay home with our children and still earn a full-time income.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. I just found out how we can stay home with our children and still have a full-time income. I just found out how we don't have to work for 45 years like our parents did. Okay, yeah, tell me more. I just found out how we can make an extra paycheck every month. Sounds good? Doesn't sound offensive? I just found out how we can get a raise without our boss knowing about it. And most of the time, of course, the prospect will then say, tell me more. Okay, this is, of course, you can come up with other icebreakers. I mean, or even if you own, of course, you can do. But of course, it would be very beneficial to you if you just took some time and write down some icebreakers of you very own, basically, which you can use for, of course, our specific product and company. And of course, when we are done, or when you are done with it, we can then move on to the next step in our formula, which is, of course, in collecting what? Those decisions. So is collecting decisions the same as closing?
It depends.
No.
How still?
Is collecting decisions the same as closing? Come on, guys, are you still there?
It's leading
Yeah.
up to that point.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's not, because you haven't finished the end of the conversation, because there's so many limitations to what you can say in a matter of time. And if you say them all in the matter of time, and then you can close it, but you can only give too little or too much. Yeah.
You collect all the decisions of the person confirming and the belief that you shut aside, but it doesn't mean you have actually closed the deal yet.
Okay, let me give it from what I have learned. Again, I just learned that. It doesn't all come up from me. I learned it and I applied and I'm doing. Is collecting decision the same as closing? Yes, that's exactly what it is. And to be more exact, there are two parts to closing. Collecting the mental yes decision from the prospect is the first of the two parts in closing. And we're going to talk about, of course, the second part a little later. But let's now focus on collecting decisions. But you may ask, well, don't I have to do the presentation first? No. We are going to do, or what we're going to do is to close the prospect first. Then we do a presentation to support their decision. In fact, you, of course, and I should never again do a presentation unless our prospect has made up a mental decision to be our customer or join our business. And that is confusing, isn't it? Well, for those, of course, of you guys or girls who are on the call.
Could you give another example?
Yeah, I will.
Could you give an example to that, Claudia, possibly?
I always can, but it's going to take some time because you need to know the whole story of it. Okay. So for those of you who are confused, of course, a little bit at this point, think back in our earlier chapter of the studies. We have already established that before the human mind makes a decision almost instantly, before all the facts, figures, and information. We already know that, yes? Before they have all the facts, figures, they already make a decision. They like us, they don't like us, they trust us, they don't like us, they trust us. So isn't that what the presentation is all about? Isn't our presentation really a showcase of information about our product and opportunity? This means that our prospects are actually going to decide either yes or no before our presentation even begins. So we are going to collect our prospect's decision first. If a prospect makes a no decision, there is no need for a presentation forcing prospects who have made a no decision to sit through a presentation is a very bad idea. The prospect will be irritated, even will irritate others, leaning back with folded arms, impatiently waiting for us to finish so that they can reject us. So what do? We not only waste everybody's time, we set ourselves up for unnecessary rejection. We don't need. Now, if a prospect makes a yes decision, then we move on and do a presentation to support that yes decision. So how do we collect decisions? Well, we ask a prospect, of course. We can leave the decision entirely up to the prospect. We can take the pressure off everyone. Is an extra paycheck what you're looking for? He made it a yes decision. Is an extra paycheck what are you looking for? Yeah. Okay. No bother doing the presentation. Now our prospects can make a decision and let us know if having an extra paycheck is something that he's looking for. So asking a question is a good way to get a clear answer of whether or not the prospect wants what we have to offer. However, did you realize that our decision collecting question seems very direct, kind of harsh, maybe could even be interpreted as some kind of rude? So we definitely don't want to come across as rude and offend our prospects, which of course then brings us to the next question: what can we do about it? How can we use those magic words that we talked earlier about to soften our approach and make both the prospect and us, of course, feel actually more comfortable? So here's again the two sequences of the magic words, which you already know. I'm just curious. Can I ask you something? For example, I'm just curious. Can I ask you something? Is working from your smartphone something you're looking for? I'm just curious. Would never showing up for work again work for you? I'm just curious. What would you say to an extra paycheck every month? I'm just curious. Can you think some other questions about the business? So take some, what I want you to do, of course, is take some time and actually really write down some closing questions, which are specific, of course, to what we do here at Utopian Global and the opportunity. And when you're done with, of course, then we go into the next formula, which we're going to do in next training on presentations. So what I'm asking you to do, homework, is think about some of those closing questions, like, I'm just curious, can I ask you something? Is working from smartphone something you're looking for? I'm just curious. Would never showing up to work for you? I'm just curious. What would you say to an extra paycheck every month? I'm just curious. Think about something of those closing questions, and let's rehearse that next week. Next week, or whenever we have to decide when we do the next training, and go in the next step into the learning of how to do that 1 minute presentation. 1 minute presentation. That's what we're going to do in the next training. So this is the training for today. I hope I could reveal you some more truths on how to learn some new skills. I hope you enjoyed the training. What was one thing? Tell me what you learned. What is one thing which stood out from today? Or did you learn something, or did you learn nothing?
Yeah,
I
yes.
definitely learned something. Go on. Hello?
Yeah, Michelle.
Hello? So yeah, I definitely, my approach to how I would sometimes ask questions, and the way you put, I'm just curious, and that was just so soft and kind of a good opening. So yeah, that was a good way and a different way for me to approach compared to how I would normally steamroll sometimes, or just ask things so openly. So yeah, that was great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Yes, I've put a dash near all the points where we need to put together. I do love wordplay. I think I could come up with something for you. I'm hoping you like it. And yeah, I think that's what it's about. It's just jumbling words and making sense of what you've got, and delivering your message the best way you can. There's no two wrong ways about it, but obviously there's a way of having a correct way of delivering it to make it stand out and to make it convincing enough. Just like you said about the con man, yeah. So we got to do some on those terms so that we can get the prospect to believe in us, even though there's no truth in element of that. But at the same time, we do it accordingly. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And this is why it is really vital that we rehearse, that we train, that we try. This is again to the point when we sit at home and when we get started and we write down your list and so on. And then, we got to try out. We got to do those things. We got to really rehearse them and try them out. So if you come up with some phrases, Sam, and then of course you should go out and you should actually try them out. And I know you're walking around London and you should do it. You should test it because this way you see, that didn't go so well. This was better. And this is what professional networkers do. They try that out until they get it right.
Yeah, I understand. Makes sense. 100%.
Yeah, until it becomes natural.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else wants to say something?
Yeah, Claudia, I can say something because I certainly have learned that, you can, maybe I won't say close somebody, but only bring somebody onto a presentation who is more likely to say yes. than you know, than bringing somebody who you already know wasn't happy with the presentation, doesn't like what you're doing, but you're hoping to bring them on to see if you can change their mind. So it's always better if you pre-qualify the person, ask the right questions, so the person's frame of mind is it's in the direction that you want him to go. So when you bring the person on the presentation or on the webinar, it's more likely, you're more likely to convert, you know, to get them to come on board. So it's something that I've learned.
Yeah. Yeah, you build that rapport. Otherwise, they're sort of automatically, this wall comes up and they automatically like, oh, they want to sell something. And we all hate to being sold, don't we?
Yeah, yes, certainly.
I mean, I'm running. Yeah.
Claudia, and out of curiosity, you know, like you're getting everybody to do this, yeah, and do a 1-minute presentation. Where are these words of wisdom going into? Are they going to be filed into something to make some use for the company, or?
Absolutely. So in the Getting Started Right guide, you already have the big formula, or the formula on the different sentences and different phrases, what to say on this 1-minute presentation. You have that, yes. But look, I can give you all the phrases. I can give you all of that, which is okay. But you got to really understand the meanings behind it. You got to also try it out for you. You got to also rehearse it. You also got to you got to practice. You know, like in anything. I mean, you can't become a. I like very much. He's with the Lord now. Kobe Bryant. I was really sad when he died. But I loved that guy. I mean, he was like this amazing this journey which he had from the personal development to I mean, he was just so. I mean, his training, it's amazing. So we have to do the same. I mean, come on. We got to learn those skills. I mean, of course you can make endless money in network marketing. There's no limit, but you got to learn those skills. And just the way it is. There's no way around it. I would give you.
I totally agree with you 100%. But I thought this would give us some publication that we could have something there.
Yes, you will have it.
You know, exactly. So that the more we get better at going away and doing homework every so often, then we build a good portfolio of what we got as reference to what we could use and what could be developed and is feasible for everyone to use.
Yeah, you have it probably by Monday, Sam.
Hmm?
You're probably going to have it by Monday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No problem with that. No problem.
Yeah.
Give me a taste for appetite.